Hey everybody, Scott Oaken coming at you here. In this video, we're going to talk about why you should not listen to golf announcers when you watch golf on TV. All right, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us. Excited to be here for this series. We are starting to talk about what you do not want to do when you listen to golf announcers. So this one's always fun. Between golf professionals, we always have to look and shake our heads sometimes. We hear things and we're like, oh no, I know when I go in this week, somebody's gonna ask me about that. And I'm gonna have to dispel it and say that, no, that's not why that happens. All right, so that's where this is coming from, a little bit of fun with it. Before we go, I do understand that it's a hard job, so you gotta fill a lot of time, so things have to be said, you're put on the spot. But the problem is that information then gets out there and people take it and actually use it and then struggle. So that's the whole point of this, is just to clarify. I understand the announcers are put in a spot where they have to say these things, but we do want to help clarify that information that's out there. So we will do that. Before we do that, make sure you click that subscribe button. Gonna have one of these a week is the goal. If you happen to see anything on TV, let me know, send it to me. I watch all the rounds, I can record them all, so let me know if you hear something, what do they mean? I can go over it and we'll do that. But let's get into it. This week we had the Century Tournament of Champions. The Century Tournament Champions, all the winners from the last year, they come out, they play at Kapalua, great tournament, a lot of fun to watch. And it was a great finish, three-way playoff, and work on your putting is what we learned for Xander Schauffele especially. But anyway, we get there, and in the second round, this week we're gonna talk about what was said in the second round on the 9th hole for Ricky Fowler. He hit a 3-wood on the par 5 up this hill, basically up a mountain, and he hooks it. And they said, whoa, he hooked it because he gets it laid off. He gets the club laid off, so he hit a hook, and that's what happens. Okay, so they also followed that up by saying if you get the club pointed more at the target, that's how you hit the ball straight. So let's start with, okay, what they said. All right, so they say, all right, Ricky Fowler, if he gets the club more laid off. Well, what is laid off? Laid off is when I go to the top and the club points more this direction, okay? That's laid off, okay? What they're saying is if you point the club more at the target, that's how you hit the ball straight. Okay, now here's why that could be possible and why it was said, okay? Ricky Fowler being a very high-level player, if he comes in with a golf ball and he makes a swing and he gets it laid off like this, what typically happens is the golf club, you're going to pull the club a little bit more down that direction. You actually hit more fades, I'd say, from a laid off position. If you're a good player especially, you're gonna hit more fades if you have it laid off. Now, that being said, Ricky Fowler being a good player, what could happen is when the club is like this, he might start to really bend his body and shove the path way out to the right, just to try to hit from the inside or whatever. That could happen. But again, I don't see that in his swing either. Actually, when you see his swing, he actually, you could debate if he's laid off even, but he's back here. And when he comes down, that club definitely stands up for just a little bit in the transition. So he's working on almost a fade pattern, but he's trying to then kind of figure it out how to hit from the inside. But what normally I'd see is people would hit the ball and hit a fade from there. Now, the other thing is, if I just started to fix that issue, okay, let's say I wanted to go ahead and fix the issue of where I point the club, okay, if I point the club here, how is that gonna help me hit it straight? Well, what it could do is help my club path come down with my arms in front of me, but how do you hit the ball straight? The number one thing is the club face. If I get this club face in a good position, I'm going to start the ball straightish, and then if I have the club path somewhere close, I'm going to also hit it somewhat straight. So the fact that just by pointing my club at the target, that has really no bearing. I can have a straight club path from back here. We see plenty of tour players. I'm thinking Daniel Berger, JB Holmes a little bit like that. I'm seeing people that go across. That's a Matthew Wolf, right? They hit the ball very straight. So where that club points at the top, That doesn't have too much bearing on if you're gonna hit it straight or not. What it is gonna have is, where's the face at the top? If I get the club pointed at the top, but I've got this thing really open, this wrist here is cupped, that face is so open, no matter what I do, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna slice it. That ball is going right and it's slicing. So I have the club pointed straight ahead, but it's not gonna hit it straight. So you really worry more about where the club face is at the top. Yes, you can worry about the position of it a little bit for your path, but that's number one. The thing that worries me, and I've already had people ask me, is, all right, hey, I got to get that club pointed at the top. Well, first off, the face isn't where it needs to be. It's not going to do anything anyway. The second thing is, you might not actually want the club pointed at your target at the top. Let's say you're somebody that has very little turn. I could be one of these people, okay? If I go back and I can't turn very much, if I'm keeping the club in a good arc around my body, that club actually might look laid off because I can't turn back far enough to get it to point at my target. So I wouldn't want, if I can't make that turn, then I wouldn't want the club pointed at my target. That's not probably the best place for me to play from. I need to work on turning more. So just again, a couple things we can point out. Whereas if you just say, all right, I'm gonna go out to the range, I can already see it now, walk in the range, I'm trying to get that club pointed at the top towards my target. Oh, I must not be doing it. No, you're doing it probably. It's just not what's helping you. So make sure you pay attention to what really matters. It's where the face is relative to your swing and the path and what you're doing, and always get some help too if you need it. But that's the first thing. Don't just say, all right, point the club at the target. It's gonna help. Or not gonna help if you don't change any other things, and you're gonna be in a bad spot. So don't listen to golf announcers there. Listen to what the science, what everything's telling us about how a ball actually reacts to an object hitting it. That's what we get.